Welcome on back and gather round, gang. It's time for some more Total War Warhammer 3. We're here with some more early access Tides of Torment to show you all the brand new lore of magic arriving, alongside the High Elves, the lore of Mists. Huge thank you to Creative Assembly for providing me here with some early access. That way I can show you all Tides of Torment and everything that is coming on in a little bit early. Let's dive into this brand new lore of magic and how to use it. The lore of Mists in general I would categorize as more of a support style lore. You have one damage dealing spell that's actually quite good and is dropping speed, but for the majority there you are using your spells to support your squad, and then there's a single spell called Mistress of the Deeps for summoning. So it's a very good, pretty well-rounded support class. They will not be responsible for wiping out whole hordes of enemies by themselves like Lore of Fire and Lore of Death is able to do, but they are incredible at boosting your armies. As with all lores, they have a passive ability that you get each time you cast, and this one is going to be called Obscuring Haze. So for everyone in a 55-meter radius around this mage, they're going to grant themselves 10% missile resistance every time you cast, so it's a little bit of a lower impact overall lore passive, but it is very good at keeping your troops alive in a missile duel, so very good at kind of trading and countering in those missile duels with the Druki or the Vampire Coast. The main armies you'll be dueling as Ulthuan very early on. We'll pop into the handy-dandy unit and spell browser here to show off the actual spells and their overcast variant a little bit easier. So you're going to have two uncommons, Mathlann's Spite and Ladrielle's Shroud, or two commons rather, two uncommons, Flensing Harr and Walk Between Worlds, and then two rares, the Mistress of the Deeps and Writhing Mists. Let's get to actually breaking down what these do. So Mathlan's Spite is the one that you'll be beginning with. It is going to be a hex that is dropping down on a single unit for 8 winds of magic normally. It is going to be dealing about half the amount of damage that your Spirit Leech does from Lore of Death, dropping speed by 30%, which is rather massive, especially when if you're able to layer this up with any other kind of speed debuffs. Then they lose some stamina, which is awesome. Got a pretty good range and lasts for 20 seconds, which is a full 7 seconds longer than Spirit Leech. So because of that, it gets almost the same amount of damage as a normal Spirit Leech. And then when you go ahead and overcast it, there's an even greater decrease to speed, and then it lasts for a full 30 seconds. So it is actually dealing at that point, if you're rolling maximum damage the whole time, you're getting more damage than Spirit Leech, which is pretty scary. Damage on top of speed drop on top of vigor loss is just it's a nasty blend. And then the flavor text reads, Sea God's wrath fills your lungs with phantom brine, a taste of the fate that nearly claimed his herald, Aislinn. Our second uncommon is called a Ladrielle Shroud for 4 winds of magic. It is a augment for buffing your own units. It's going to be recharging their stamina, which is always a good ability, and then granting them immunity to contact effects. So all of those nasty kind of debuffs that Slaanesh and the Dark Elves can apply just by coming into contact with your troops, no longer will you have to deal with that. And if you go ahead and overcast it for 5 more wins, you grant yourself a really, really nice heal too. It's only for 1 unit, so best at healing up your single entities in a hurry, but if you have a unit that is taking all of the damage and you'd like it to kind of stop for a second, drop down Ladrielle's Shroud and the lads will take a little bit of a breather. Flavor text for this reads, a veil of vapor manifests around an ally, invigorating the beleaguered with glimpses of long-fallen kin, a portent of a mighty victory, tinged with the aftertaste of sadness. You've got your kind of elven helmet that floats above them for a minute. The glittering effect is nice. The casting effect, whenever the Lore of Mist Mage do cast, it looks very good. For Mathlan's Spite, because we actually didn't make mention of the how it looks, you have this kind of maelstrom that whips around, and you can see there's rain that drops down on the unit. Very good against one unit, not so good against what they're doing here. Moving on to our uncommons, we have Flensing Harr, my favorite of the spells outside of Mathlan's Spite here. Flensing Harr for 8 is going to be a chain hex that is going to drop armor by 30 and missile block chance by 36. This is what they were meaning when they're saying they're very good to pair up with your archers, because they make enemies suffer. Elven archers don't have the most armor piercing in general, just fairly high missile strength, so if you drop enemy armor, they are going to be feeling that immediately. In cushions at once. This is a chain hex similar to what you have a lot of the times with your Nurgle spells, so over time, 5 enemies are going to be affected with this armor and missile block chance debuff, which is pretty terrifying. And if you upgrade the spell, it is going to go ahead and last for double the duration. So instead of 24 seconds, which is already a very long time in a battle, it goes up to 48 seconds. Devastating. Even if you're really not using missiles, that negative 30 armor is always felt. Flavor text here reads, through callous interpretation of seafaring sorcery, Carthacuan lore masters have learned to glaciate their quarry to lethargic helplessness. Indeed, and then they get turned into walking pincushions. Moving on to Walk Between Worlds, which is going to make your lads glow like they're ethereal. That looks pretty awesome. It's going to grant them 25% speed, 55% physical resistance, and a strider. So you're basically turning your units ethereal for 22 seconds. Flavor text here, for a moment, one may tread immortal pathways by way of drifting in and out of reality. Very, very good buff, and like the others, the Overcast version is just going to double the duration from 22 seconds up to 44, which 44 seconds of becoming ethereal in a lot of cases is enough time needed just to wipe someone out, so this is good no matter which unit you drop it on. Finally, we arrive at our rare spells, the most powerful spells that Mist Mages can throw. The first of which here being the Writhing Mists is a kind of a mixed augment spell, so it's either going to be a buff or a debuff. Doesn't have the largest range, so you are going to have to choose to use this on an enemy or an ally, simply because you can see these, we'll read on through. So if you use it on yourself, it's going to grant you more missile block chance, 360 missile block, stalk, and snipe. So this basically allows if you were a missile-focused army and you'd really like to duel with Dark Elves or someone who may have even superior missiles to you for just a time, they now no longer are superior because you can block that first kind of wave of arrows that comes in, and you could unleash yours back without them even knowing you were there in the first place, which is incredible. You have these kind of mists that swirl out over the battlefield, which honestly looks great. This is one of the best looking spells here in the lore. If you cast this on an enemy, though, it drops their leadership by 8 and their melee defense by 24, which is always... This combo is always devastating. You can see there, it's more for, you put this on an enemy and you can have your like cavalry charge in, so they're not fully limited to only using your kind of missile troops. They're real good to apply to missiles, but if you don't have any, you can still use it to debuff the enemy in a rather severe way. Overcasting it is just going to make it last twice as long, up to 40 seconds. Which is, as we said a couple times, 40 seconds is such a long time to be debuffed. Their final spell is the Mistress of the Deeps, which summons in a unit of Oceanids, which are surprisingly very, very good. Their stats, their complete lack of armor and having a little bit less physical resistance than your normal ethereal units, I didn't expect them to be as good as they are, and I'll just put it that way, they're very impactful. Even amidst the glamour of the pitched battle, the Asur's enemies are haunted by the beguiling tones of the Oceanid song. You get 2 summons of them in a battle, and it is going to be a spell that doesn't have an Overcast variant. As you upgrade it is going to be doing the normal thing in these skills that happens when you upgrade summon spells. I can't spoil campaign from there, but you kind of... Those who know, know. I don't know if I read the one for the Writhing Mist. Let's get back here and read that. The salt-scented mist rolls in across the battlefield, corroding the enemy's resolve and shrouding the Asur with ethereal caress. But that is going to be your Lore of Mists. Honestly, I think it's a very good addition to the Asur's lineup, since they already have access to all of the winds of magic. This one actually fits in quite nicely, and it does different things than some of your others, so it's a very good one to have, especially if you're fielding a mainly missile-focused army, or you just really like the Flensing Harr for its dropping the armor, or summoning in the Oceanids, which summons are always very effective. You charge that Mist Mage in, you drop in some Oceanids, and then whoever's there just has the worst day. It's great. Well, let me know what you all thought in the comments below. Which of these spells is your favorite? As I've already said, Flensing Harr and Mathlann Spite have put in the most work for me as of yet. But thank you all so much for stopping on by. If you have enjoyed the video, please do remember to leave a like for Light God and a sub for the sub throne. I'll see you all in the next one.